A daughter torn between love and fear, a father drowning in rage and desperation, and a mother who simply wanted to break free. This isn't just a case of murder. It's a story of manipulation, betrayal, and one devastating choice that changed everything. This is the chilling case of Karrie Nyrider, the girl who wanted peace, but got pulled into something far darker.
Subscribe to Crime Whispers.
From the outside, the Nyriders looked like the American dream. Lloyd and Michelle, high school sweethearts turned small-town couple. 3 beautiful daughters, a tidy home in upstate New York. Michelle was the nurturing, intelligent mother who homeschooled her children, and later became a college instructor. Lloyd, a well-liked handyman, outgoing, confident, charming. But there were cracks. Behind closed doors, Lloyd ruled with an iron grip. Friends of the family remembered the fear. He disciplined the girls with screaming matches, emotional threats, even public shaming. Michelle, though patient and devoted, was walking on eggshells. And Karrie, the quiet middle child, she loved books, wanted to become a nurse, and dreamed of escaping the chaos. But escaping Lloyd would never be that simple. By 2013, Michelle had reached her breaking point. After decades of emotional abuse, she filed for divorce. But Lloyd wasn't ready to let go or lose control. He unleashed a legal storm, 26 court filings, most of them aggressive and accusatory. He demanded full custody of their youngest daughter. He painted Michelle as manipulative, the irony too painful for words. Michelle's lawyer called it one of the most intense harassment campaigns she'd ever witnessed. To friends, it became clear. Lloyd didn't want custody out of love. He wanted to punish Michelle. And more than anything, he wanted to stop paying child support. 4 years, the courtroom battles raged. But then suddenly Lloyd vanished from the legal scene. He stopped showing up to hearings. He ignored court orders. Michelle thought maybe he gave up. Maybe she could finally breathe. She had no idea that Lloyd was planning something far more final. By January 2018, Karrie was 19. She had started college and was trying to build her own life. But Lloyd pulled her back in. He came to visit her one night and sat her down. His voice cracked. His hands shook. He told her he couldn't take it anymore. He was broke, drowning in debt, and behind on child support. Then came the ultimatum: I kill myself, or we kill your mother. Those are the only options. Karrie was stunned. She cried, she begged. She pleaded with him not to die, but Lloyd didn't stop. He said Michelle ruined his life, and now she had to pay for it. Slowly, painfully, he convinced his own daughter. Helping him was the only way to save him. January 24, 2018. Michelle was having a good day. She had finally won full custody. Her years of fighting were over, or so she thought. That night, Karrie drove Lloyd to Michelle's house. Karrie waited in the car. Inside, Michelle was alone, unaware that her ex-husband was about to end her life. Lloyd broke in. Michelle screamed. She fought back. But he was prepared and relentless. He strangled her with a rope, slowly, violently, then staged the scene to look like suicide, even placing a note nearby. When he returned to the car, he leaned in and whispered, "It's done, she's gone." And just like that, Michelle's life was over. The next morning, Michelle's body was found in her home. At first, police were unsure. The rope, the scene, the note, it all pointed to suicide. But something felt wrong. The rope marks were inconsistent with hanging. There were bruises on Michelle's jaw, suggesting someone had attacked her from behind. The autopsy revealed the truth. Michelle was murdered. and someone tried very hard to cover it up. Detectives turned to Michelle's ex-husband. Lloyd claimed he was out of state, in California for a job interview, but surveillance showed he left his hotel for several hours. Unaccounted for, investigators knew they had their suspect. They just needed proof. Detectives had been watching carefully. They knew the story didn't add up, or not from Lloyd, and not from Karrie, so they made their move. They placed a controlled call to Karrie, telling her they had uncovered new evidence, not real, but just believable enough to shake her. They said they had new fingerprints, surveillance footage, a new witness. They didn't, not yet. But they had something else, strategy. Karrie was blindsided. The moment she hung up, she did what she'd always been trained to do, call her father. Her voice was fragile, cracking under pressure. "Dad, they know something. What do I say?" There was a pause on the other end. Then Lloyd, cold and forceful. "Stick to the story. You say nothing. You hear me, nothing." But something had shifted. Karrie wasn't that same scared teenager anymore. She'd seen too much, lost too much, and for the first time, she realized she was still being controlled. For the next few days, Karrie unraveled. Her mind replayed every moment, her mother's laugh, her father's threats, the drive to that house, and the silence that followed. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. And then, she cracked. She walked into the police station, alone, pale, trembling, eyes swollen from crying. Detectives gave her space, but her words came fast, as if they'd been waiting to escape. "He said he'd kill himself if I didn't help. I thought I was saving him. I didn't know what else to do." It was barely a whisper, but it was everything. She told them about the plan, the manipulation, the emotional blackmail. She admitted to driving Lloyd to Michelle's house, to waiting in the car, to hearing the door slam afterward. He got in and said, "It's done, and I knew." Her confession wasn't just a breakthrough in the case. It was the unraveling of years of psychological abuse. In that room, with nothing but a notepad, and to detectives, Karrie finally stopped protecting the man who stole her childhood and took her mother's life. The fallout was swift. Detectives moved to arrest Lloyd, but just like before, he ran. They tracked his phone to a parking garage in Princeton, New Jersey. There, they found him, standing on the ledge, just stories up, wind blowing. His arms outstretched. He was ready to jump. For over 2 hours, trained negotiators spoke gently, trying to talk him down. But Lloyd didn't budge, until a SWAT team made their move. They lunged, pulling him away from the edge, cuffed, silent, defeated. He was arrested for first-degree murder. Karrie, just 20 years old, was also arrested, charged with second-degree murder for her role in the crime. Lloyd Nyrider eventually pled guilty to avoid a lengthy trial. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Karrie, now broken, remorseful, and still processing what she'd done, took a plea deal. She was convicted of second-degree manslaughter and sentenced to just 1 to 3 years behind bars. In the courtroom, Michelle's mother, Jeannie, stood tall. Her voice didn't shake. "My daughter wouldn't want Karrie to rot in prison. She was brainwashed. She's a victim, too." Even in the darkest moments, Michelle's family chose compassion. But nothing could bring Michelle back. A father is meant to be a protector, but Lloyd Nyrider used his role to control, to gaslight, to destroy. Karrie thought she was saving her father, but in doing so, she lost her mother and a piece of herself. She lived with that weight forever. And Michelle, she fought to leave. She fought to protect her children. She finally won her freedom, only to lose her life. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of how emotional abuse escalates and how manipulation can become murder. So, what do you think? Was Karrie a coerced victim or an accomplice who still made a choice? Should she have served more time, or did the system get it right? How can we better recognize manipulation? Before it becomes irreversible, your voice matters. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you believe Michelle's voice still matters. Subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories that need to be heard. For Michelle, for the daughters left behind, for the decisions that echo forever.